Welcome into this week's edition of ACAP Today for the week of December 27th, 2021. I'm Jason Parent with the Aroostook County Action Program. The new year is upon us, and in this week's edition of ACAP Today, we're going to speak with members of our prevention team about making New Year's resolutions, how you can make them stick, and what are some of the options for making New Year's resolutions as we prepare to turn the page to 2022. But before we do that, we're first going to get to the news and information that you can use again for this week of December 27th, 2021, the last week of the year. And we begin in our news and information that you can use by wishing you all a happy and healthy new year and letting you know that our programs and services will be closed on the 31st of December, this Friday, in observance of the New Year holiday as it falls on a Saturday this year. So please make arrangements accordingly. We will be open until 5 p.m. or as services are regularly open for their opening hours until 5 p.m. on the 30th of December. So please make arrangements accordingly. And we wish all of you again a very happy and healthy new year. We also wanted to share with you this week that the number of cases in Aroostook County continues to be high, and we encourage folks who have not yet been vaccinated or who have not received their booster shot who are eligible to receive it to please consider doing that. Anyone age 5 and older is eligible to receive the vaccine. There is information, including a listing of COVID-19 vaccination sites available through the maine.gov site. There's also available information through the local district coordinating council for public health, which has a local information available and can be found through our Facebook page. In addition to that, if folks are in need of a ride to an appointment, the Department of Health and Human Services continues their free vaccine appointment ride option, and you can certainly call the number on your screen, the toll-free number on your screen 48 hours in advance to let them know that you would like a ride. Again, we're encouraging all community members to help in this effort to curb the rise in the cases of COVID-19 here in Aroostook County by getting vaccinated. We also are encouraging folks, as the number of cases is high, to continue or to be resuming wearing a mask indoors, which is the case for all high transmission rates, as Aroostook County is here. We encourage you to wear a mask that covers both your nose and mouth and can be secured under your chin, and one that fits snugly against the sides of your face. We do have some cloth masks available at our ACAP locations if you have difficulty locating them otherwise, and we're happy to provide those to you free of charge. Support is also available for individuals who have been asked to quarantine or isolate as a result of a close contact or a COVID-19 diagnosis. Temporary help is available with grocery and meal delivery, shelter assistance as needed, and the like. You can access that information through the Community Care for COVID Social Support website through the Department of Health and Human Services, or you can call our agency directly. You can also apply for individuals in other parts of the state who may need this assistance with their permission, of course. So for family and loved ones in other parts of Maine experiencing the need to isolate or quarantine, please do check out the Department of Health and Human Services website. And those cases will be dispatched to a community action agency in their area, but we encourage anyone in need of these services to apply here in our area, and a coach or a navigator will be dispatched to provide the assistance to you. It's also not too late, with the end of the year upon us, to claim a charitable tax deduction of up to $600 without itemizing your tax deduction. The IRS wants us to remind folks of that. So if you have a favorite charity that you would like to make a donation to, a nonprofit organization, please consider doing that before December 31st, before the end of the year. And this is, again, a pandemic era benefit that's being extended to help individuals be able to support organizations in their community that have been serving people throughout this pandemic and certainly could benefit from that generosity. We encourage you to consider making a donation to the favorite charity of your choice, and certainly our agency would be very, very appreciative of any donations that we receive. Folks have been very generous, especially this time of year, and we certainly appreciate that. The S.T.E.P parenting classes that we've been speaking about for the last couple of weeks are returning to Aroostook County. Julia Masick, a licensed clinical social worker, will begin to offer those classes again in the new year. They consist of 7 sessions that range from between an hour and a half each week, and will cover things like understanding young children, their behavior, building self-esteem in the early years, and a number of other topics. You can certainly register for those by contacting Julia directly via phone or email. Certainly encourage you to give her a call if you have any additional questions. They've been very popular in the past, and we're very pleased to be bringing them back at the start of 2022. Again, contact Julia for more information and specific details about when the class starts and when it will be held. The community cupboard is continually in need of a sponsor. We have a community cupboard outside of our ACAP 771 Main Street location near Walmart. And we've been very blessed with generous individuals that have donated to it, but it's one of the most used community cupboards in Aroostook County, given its location. $500 will help us stock it for the month to be able to provide non-perishable food items, and at this time of year, appropriate ones that will not freeze in the cold. We encourage you to contact Sherry Locke. You can also, as an organization or a family or as an individual, be a sponsor by agreeing to help stock it throughout the month. So you want to call Sherry again on that opportunity if it's something of interest to you. The emergency rental assistance continues to provide support to individuals who are renting. We are looking forward to a housing assistance program that the state of Maine will be unveiling in the first quarter of the new year. But for now, the rental assistance program continues to be available for households who qualify economically for this program. We encourage individuals to apply if you have been impacted in any way, including by the increased cost of items, groceries, gas, whatever the case may be, as a result of the pandemic, and rent, and meet the income qualification guidelines. You are eligible for this program, and we encourage you to please continue or to reach out to us. You can fill out the application directly online at mainhousing.org/COVID-rent. And if you are unable to do it online and would like assistance with that, you can give us a call at 764-3721, and we'd be happy to have provide you with that assistance to complete the application online. The Home Energy Assistance Program is continuing through the coming months. We are currently seeing customers across Aroostook County, mostly those who have applied in previous years, but we are welcoming new applicants as well. We have held a number of slots open and will soon be taking all new customers as we work in the next couple of months at working through our list of previous customers. These are the income qualification guidelines on your screen. Of note, this year is just a 1-month look back. So if you've had a change in your household income in just the last month or two, you can certainly apply using the evidence of income for just that month alone. We encourage folks to do that. There has been an increase in the eligibility guidelines over the last few years. And so for folks who have applied in the past and maybe not qualified, we certainly encourage you to come back as the opportunity might be there, and the price of heating oil and heating your home is high right now, and certainly many folks could use this assistance. Also want to remind folks that the open eligibility period or open enrollment period for coverme.gov does continue through the 15th of January. And that's the end of the open enrollment period for this year. You will always have the opportunity to come into the coverme.gov with a qualifying incident, but this is sort of the only period of time where you can get in. We encourage folks to reach out to Andrea White, who is an assister with enrolling and can provide you with information and help guide you through the website. You can also work with Andrea to consider applying for main care, which can be done through coverme.gov, and determining of eligibility can happen right there on that website. Again, please do reach out before the approaching deadline of January 15th. And lastly, in this week's news and information you can use, if your family or your household is in need of assistance of any kind, and maybe you haven't heard what the offerings are in this edition of the news, we may have programs or may be able to connect you with programs with other agencies. Please contact us. We have navigators who are here to do that, 764-3721, and we want to be able to help you at this particularly difficult time as we head into the winter, and with the COVID cases where they are, we understand that many are in need right now and want to be a resource for folks out there in the community. That's this week's news and information you can use. I'm so pleased now to welcome to the program 3 members of ACAP's Rockstar Prevention Team. First, Meg Hegemann. Meg, welcome back to ACAP Today.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
And Elaine Sipe, welcome back to you as well. Oops, Elaine's still muted, but we'll fix that.
Muted.
There we go.
Sorry. Happy to be here.
And making her first appearance, and she's still on mute as well. So Brynn, why don't you say hello to everyone? Brynn Wilcox, welcome to your first appearance on ACAP Today.
Hey, thank you for having me.
All right, so we're going to talk about New Year's resolutions, and I say we have three experts here with us because you help people on sort of unofficial resolutions year round, on sort of really taking the ACAP catch line of making life better across Aroostook County in very tangible ways. So why don't we start with that, Meg? You do work with folks across Aroostook County every day on this kind of stuff. So New Year's resolutions, do we do this? Is this something we should do?
So, a lot of people will hear New Year's resolution and immediately stop listening because they don't make them, they don't like them, they don't want to have anything to do with them. Some of our own staff members are in that camp. And I think it really comes from a place of not wanting to set ourselves up for failure, right? We have this sense that it's never worked for me anyway, why bother? I'm not going to buy fitness equipment that ends up holding as a clothes rack instead, those kinds of things. And at the same time, there's a lot of science actually behind the idea that making a commitment, particularly if you put it in writing, and if you have others join you in your quest, that those things really can help you follow through and making the difference. So whether you see it as a New Year's resolution or not, you're right. We help people on the journey throughout the year. So there's nothing in particular magical about New Year's. But I think it's helpful to remember that I'm going to make a big assumption here and say that every single one of us is struggling with something. And Einstein's definition of insanity was to keep doing the same thing over and over and expect different results. And so even if we're not all that enamored of the idea of a New Year's resolution, we don't learn from our experience just by having the experience. We only learn if we reflect on the experience that we've had and then make some sort of a commitment to do something differently, whether that's a big thing or a small thing. And I think small changes ultimately are what will make a big difference. So making a commitment to yourself, sharing that commitment with others, those are really critical steps for all of us to helping us get out of this exhaustion, brain fog. We have in this place this combination of overwhelming COVID fatigue combined with the darkness, although days are getting longer now, yes. But it's minuscule steps. And sometimes that's what it takes for us in our behavior, to take a minuscule step each day, a little bit closer to the light. And that's what will make a long-term difference.
Indeed. I know that one of the many things that folks usually focus in on at this time of year, especially for individuals, Elaine, Sipe, who are dependent upon tobacco products, is that consideration of quitting smoking at this time of year. And I know that you do that. You provide the assistance for folks to do that across Aroostook County. How do you take that advice that Meg just gave folks about taking that sort of incremental step? It does seem like quitting tobacco can be very overwhelming for folks. It's either something you do or you don't do, but is there a way to sort of take that first incremental step, and how do you help advise folks as it relates to that?
Yeah, I loved how Meg said, it's a small step, but if you do it with people. I am going to be starting a class called Freedom from Smoking in January. And it honestly is trying to get people to come together to quit smoking together. It works really well when you all have the same addiction, to be able to talk about it. And okay, I do this to tell, I do that, because it's a group conversation, and you kind of make a pact with each other, when you do it in a group. If I can do it for this week, then you can do it for this week. And I actually have a couple of groups of people who want to sign up. One set is 2 sisters, and then I have a husband and wife who want to do it together. And to be able to have them both do it at the same time gives them a person to lean on. And even if they didn't have that person, if you have a group, you have the other people to lean on. I actually just did it with one person, and I can do it with one person, me and the other person, and we got a great connection and it worked. I can do it via Zoom. It's harder because it's nice to have the connection, but you can create a connection with people via Zoom if you have to. And I don't know one single person that doesn't feel better after they've quit smoking, you know? So it's like, if you want to feel better, and what more something to look forward to. And the program I have is about 7 weeks long, and I'm thinking to start it in the middle of January. And it'll be the beginning of March, and that's going to be when we're starting to turn the clocks back. So it'll be a whole brand new, brand new whole world when the whole light is changing. So it would be something very exciting. And I also want to mention I have a program for teens too. If teens are out there and wishing that they hadn't started smoking, I have a program called Not on Tobacco that is the same kind of thing. It's working together to create a much bigger, it's easier to do it when you have somebody helping you. And I have many people say, I don't even know how to do it. So I can help you. I do know how to do it. I've done it. I have not personally stopped smoking myself, but I have helped a lot of people stop smoking, and it feels good all the way around. So if anybody wants that help, please call or email us, and I would be very happy to help you. And as I said, we're going to start up in January. And if people need rides, I'll get them rides there. We will make every effort to anybody that wants to start my programs to start.
Right. That's great. Now, Meg, that's one of the aspects of one of what you call sort of the three-legged stool of typical New Year's resolutions, tobacco in terms of health, but there are other parts of health and then sort of health in terms of finances. And so maybe cover your overarching viewpoints of the types of resolutions people typically make and how Elaine's work ties into one of those three legs of the stool.
Absolutely. So one of the exciting things that we have right now to offer to folks who do work with Elaine is we also have a new incentive this year to offer a $25 gas card to folks who commit to that and participate in those classes. But you're right, that is one element of kind of making healthier choices. Certainly we have folks in our wellness programs who work with people on nutrition and exercise and kind of healthier living choices in that way. We also really encourage folks. We had a lot of success with Sober October this year, and Dry January is another kind of common time for people to just take a step back. So it's very interesting to me. I participated in Sober October, and it was the first time that I've really done anything like that. And it was really an eye-opener for me. And I know for a lot of other folks who went through it as well, to take a step back for a little bit, to take a month off, and to just become aware of how saturated our culture is in this. Everything is about, whether it's mommy juice to get through COVID and to have kids at home, whether it's even fitness culture is steeped in having alcohol after a run or skiing, those kinds of things. And so it's really kind of shocking when you take a step back and think, for people who are in long-term recovery, it's another thing that's exhausting, quite honestly, because you're up against this battle all the time with triggers. And part of what Elaine works with folks on, and it's true for really any substance that we are using, whether it's caffeine in the mornings, if you're getting tired of the caffeine buzz and the crash that comes with that, whatever the substance might be, there's a craving, there's a trigger that creates this craving. And the science tells us that it's really just 3 to 5 minutes. If you can identify what those triggers are and figure out a way to get through that 3 to 5 minutes, then you have a better chance of ignoring it altogether. One of my friends said during Sober October, and she's in long-term recovery, and it was a variation on the one day at a time mantra. And she said, there are times when I would say, okay, just today, I kind of want a glass of wine right now, but just for today, I'm not going to have it. I might tomorrow, but just for today, I won't. And honestly, that was really helpful at times during Sober October to just go, you know what? Not today. I might very well be up for it tomorrow. But, you know, when you do that every day, suddenly you're at a month, 30 days, 40 days, 50 days, whatever. And the other feedback that I heard from a lot of people who took that opportunity was that there was sort of this idea that, ooh, 1st of November, I'm going to go back and have my next drink. And it simply didn't taste that good. So once you allow your body to kind of cleanse itself a little bit, things really do shift. And I think it can be a different perspective. So maybe somebody wants to take a stab at dry January. Maybe somebody wants to take a stab at cutting back on caffeine. It's not like you have to go cold turkey for these substances that we get addicted to. But if we step back from them, then it can be helpful for our long-term health. And you're right, there are lots of different components of health. So we have the physical piece that we've talked about. We have some mental and emotional and spiritual health pieces that we'll talk about in a little bit. But we also have this critical component of financial health. And especially by the 1st of January, you might be dreading some of those credit card bills that will be coming in. And one of our newer programs that Brynn is going to speak with us about has financial health as a part of it. And it's particularly geared toward younger folks who may not have really figured out how to do. I know my stepson gave us kind of his first gift as an adult, right? And you can kind of want to go overboard when you're a young adult just trying to make those choices. So Brynn can talk to us a little bit about the new Breakthrough Youth program. She'll be starting in January.
Great. And Brynn, we are going to be actually dedicating a program in January to talking about Breakthrough Youth. So talk about it a little bit and talk about what advice that you would give to folks in the program, but also give to folks as we head into a new year and maybe are looking at, Meg mentioned the challenges that have been brought about as a result of the pandemic. And for many households, those have included economic challenges. So sort of getting that financial house in order is critical for folks.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially for young adults, that's the kind of wheelhouse I, as a young adult, can speak to the most. I moved out at like 19, got my first apartment, got my first like serving job. I'm like, yes, I'm gonna do this. And then I got a credit card. And then kind of everything, it snowballed a little bit. Like a lot of people my age, I have student loans, I had credit card debt, and like a car loan, all of that stuff that no one really told me. Like, as an adult, you have to get them, but no one really tells you what actually comes with them. So a lot of the portion of Breakthrough Youth Week for the financial literacy will be Money Smart. It's a program by the FDIC. Excuse me. Right there's Money Smart. And it focuses a lot on just the differences between a credit card versus a debit card. So to a lot of people, a card is a card. It's a piece of plastic or metal or whatever it's made out of. And as far as a lot of them know, or a lot of folks may know, you swipe the card and you get to buy things. But a debit card is actually attached to your checking account. There's actual money, actual cash in there. Versus a credit card where maybe right now you think, oh yeah, I've got a $500 limit. I can buy this, but then the bill comes and you don't have $500 to pay the bill. So then you're paying interest and accruing debt, which can be really detrimental and really a sticky spot to be in. We talk a little bit about saving, but it's hard to save when you can't always pay your bills or you don't always have the extra funds to do so, but every little bit helps. So we do talk a lot. We do talk a bit about that. We also talk about expenses that that youth or young adults might not think about when they buy their first car. Like you have to pay for gas. My sister is 17 and she has a truck, and she recently learned that $10 does not get you very far. It's kind of a shock to her. So we talk about the cost of gas, insurance, the cost of maintenance. We also talk some about predatory loans and kind of scams. We all get those super annoying text messages that say, hey, like, this is the IRS, you have to sign up for this, or we get the phone call saying your limited warranty is done. So we kind of teach them about that, also about like payday loans and kind of how predatory and how dangerous they are, and also credit scores, because those are so easy to slip up on, especially when you're so young, and then they take a really long time to build back up. And even if you don't have a ton of savings or like a ton of like liquid income, having a good credit score is something that really sets anyone up for financial success. Whether it's some jobs check your credit score, so like apartments will check your credit score. Having a reliable vehicle could mean the difference between being able to work or get to school reliably to have a better source of income, and getting a reliable car is usually dependent on your credit score. So just lots of things like that. The pandemic has been so hard, and especially for people who are maybe living on their own for the first time through COVID. That was my experience. I was still pretty new to living by myself from the past 2 years. And COVID's kind of warped how we look at things that are financially like necessary, but also how like assistance. So it's not normal for you to get like a $1,400 stimulus check or a $600 stimulus check. And if that's what you're relying on to pay your rent, maybe we need to look at how you're budgeting. There's nothing wrong with that, but maybe we need to talk about budgets and spending less elsewhere. So it's just, if you're a young person looking to better your financial health, or kind of just get a little bit more sure-footed in this world that is adulting, definitely check out Breakthrough Youth. Email us, give us a call. Hopefully we're starting in like mid-January. Yeah, we'd love to have you.
That's great. And certainly, again, like I said, we'll be chatting with you about the Breakthrough Youth program. We'll sort of do a deep dive into it in a January edition of ACAP Today. Your advice for folks in terms of what Meg was indicating, and certainly in Elaine's world, about sort of making it less overwhelming by sort of one thing that you can do, or an incremental change that you might want to bring about, so that something as daunting as a New Year's resolution, which maybe is a full-on lifestyle change, and taking that on at the beginning of the year, doesn't fall to the wayside if you sort of focus in. What advice would you give, whether it's to youth or adults, in terms of sort of something that they could do to help their financial situation in 2022 by starting small?
Absolutely. Can I get two? So I'd say for those who can, save, even if it's just like $10 or $15 a paycheck. Any little bit of emergency fund helps, whether it's your tire popped or you need a new, I don't know, like a new car. I just had to get a new car battery. So $150, if you don't have any savings, is a lot of money, and can really send people into debt. Another good one is to pick like a high interest bill, whether it's a loan or a credit card, and try to pay it down as much as you can. It's really hard to pay down credit cards, especially if that's what you're relying on for making ends meet. But that is one thing that can be really helpful, is paying down that high interest, because they're like 15 or 20 or 25% interest rates on those. And that also will help bump up a credit score. So those would be my two that I would say.
How about from you, Elaine, in terms of if folks are looking to quit smoking? You talked about, the group that you have coming up, or how youth can get engaged with quitting smoking. What is your incremental advice to sort of taking that first step and not instantly sort of saying, I'm overwhelmed with this, I'm just going to, pick that habit back up?
We start slow. We go for 4 weeks in my program when you're still smoking. It's really week 4 that you stop, so we gear you up. It's not okay, you're going to start on, January 11th and you're going to be stopped smoking. No, it's like we give you time. We give you the ways to do it, because honestly, people don't know how. And we have proven results of how to help people stop. And it's not like we're demanding it that very first day. It's a slow process. It's weeks, and you get into the groove of your friend and you become friends, in this group. And it's a reliable group of friends that you can chat with and help each other. Everybody's in it together. We're not in it apart. And so it's not an immediate thing. It's one phone call can really get you going with a group of friends or people to help you. And it's not a demand, and it's not an absolute right now. It's works. You work your way into it. So it's not a sudden thing.
Now, Meg, on many occasions, the reason why people don't persist with New Year's resolutions is because it's seemingly about, doing something that's difficult or taking something out of your life that you find pleasure or enjoyment with, or the like. At times, a really good New Year's resolution can actually be about value adding into your life and finding some purpose. How do you recommend folks sort of approach that and looking at it from a different perspective than we've been talking about?
Absolutely. I think some listeners may very well be listening to Elaine talk about finding a group of friends and saying, well, I don't smoke, but I need friends. There's a real sense during COVID of isolation that really adds to the sense of exhaustion. And even for introverts, I think there's a sense that, okay, it's gone a little far enough, because introverts also need a small group. And that has been really difficult. So one of the biggest ways that helps in improving our emotional health, our mental health, is that connection. We need to be connected to other people, and we also need to have a sense of purpose for our lives. So again, science has shown over and over again that volunteering is one of the best ways that you can improve not just your mental outlook, but also your physical health. Volunteering, doing something for others, reduces your blood pressure. It helps us, it stabilizes our heart rate, has all kinds of beneficial effects on our physical bodies, let alone our mental health. So really encourage people to think about, what are you passionate about? Maybe what are you missing the most? Maybe there's just been so many things during this time, whether it's the loss of a pet, or maybe it's new pets. There were a lot of pandemic puppies that got adopted. Well, that's a great way to connect with other individuals, whether it's going to a dog park. Maybe you still keep a connection and volunteer at an animal shelter. Maybe you collect items or make items that then you can give to an animal shelter. There are tons of organizations, ACAP being one, that really can use, particularly with staffing shortages and the stress level for people who are working in social service organizations. They need help. And so if you are really struggling to find a purpose for your life right now, it doesn't all have to be in person. As Elaine said, sometimes I find that there's almost more of a connection on a virtual call, because we don't have to wear masks when we're sitting by ourselves in our own spaces. When we are together, we all have to have masks on, and you get stuck reading eyeballs. And sometimes it's difficult to hear if you have a mask between you and the other person. So there are organizations that need your help. Maybe it's knitting or crocheting something for others that could be donated. Maybe it's sitting on a planning call There are organizations that want to plan different events. And so maybe your role is to call different organizations for donations, or maybe you're great at putting together a music playlist that could be used for an event or for background. Maybe you're really good at graphics and you can take good pictures, or you know how to manipulate those to make cool backgrounds that could be used in different contexts. There is something that every single person can do, whether it's making a phone call to a neighbor or a lonely person, whether it's, writing letters, or physically going to assist people. There are so many ways that you can give back. And that's what Aroostook County is built on, right? We care for one another. That's what makes lives better. And so I really encourage you in that regard. I do have to put in a shameless plug. So on the prevention team, one of the things that we are really looking to do in 2022, I was listening to last week's episode, and I thought it was all about ACAP's goals for 2022. And in the prevention team in particular, one of the things that we're really committed to doing is hearing from and being in relationship with young people. So Brynn mentioned her program works with people ages 14 to 24. And that's typically the age range that we work with through most of our prevention programs. So we are in middle schools, high schools, colleges, and then young adults up to age 24. We need those people. We need their parents, their coaches, their teachers. We need people who work with young people, whether those folks are at risk, whether they're low income, whether they are rock stars in, traditional, by traditional definitions, whether they are young people in recovery, whether they've been justice involved or not. We need the voices of young people to inform who we are and what we do. So our prevention team is all about providing opportunities for young people to build resiliency. We can't do that for them. We might have some tips, but they also have knowledge and to know what they know so that we're not, preaching to the choir. We are about helping them foster compassion and generate hope. And so we're really looking in this year to build those relationships with young people. So I would offer that to anyone who is looking for a sense of purpose, that would like to be involved. If that resonates with you in some way, whether you are young or whether you simply are passionate about working with, listening to, and making life better, particularly for young adults in Aroostook County, contact us. I want to hear from you and we want to have you on board.
Indeed, that engagement is going to be critical. It is critical now, but more of it is going to be needed as we work with these young individuals who are the current in many ways and future leaders of our communities. So what have we forgotten? What have we not discussed in this episode that any of you wanted to mention? Meg, I'll start with you, then we'll go to you, Elaine, and to Brynn, of anything that we sort of haven't touched on that you wanted to make sure people were aware of as we head into this new year.
The only other thing that I want to mention is that whether it's a New Year's resolution or whatever kind of commitment we make, we have a tendency as human beings to, once we slip up, say, oh, failed at that, I'm done, guess that didn't work. And that's not healthy. It's not helpful. We all mess up, right? We all fall off whatever wagon we are trying to get on. That's not a failure. You have succeeded for whatever number of hours or days or weeks that you went without a cigarette, without a drink of alcohol, however many hours you actually worked on knitting something for someone else. Those were successes. When you fall off that wagon, when you slip up, get back on, try again. Maybe the next time you'll do it one day longer. So the best that we can reframe the idea that just because we've stopped whatever habit we were trying to create or end, that's not the ending. Just shake it off, as my basketball coach, father and brother would say, shake it off, get up, walk it off, and keep going.
That was actually going to be my next question, and you might have sort of segged into it, is what's your advice for folks going into this year, Meg? Would that be your advice for folks?
Absolutely. Shift the mindset from, well, that didn't work, I failed at that, to no, like I succeeded for that long. I don't care if it was 5 minutes. I managed, 5 minutes through that craving. I get up later, but I made it that far. So let's try again. Maybe you'll do it a little bit longer next time.
And so Elaine, since those questions seem to both sort of kind of touch upon one another, anything that you sort of not mentioned that you want to mention? And then what's your advice to folks heading into the new year?
I guess I haven't said that the program is actually 7 weeks long. The classes are about an hour, hour and a half piece. But I think the best thing to do is to think, I want to get healthy. I mean, really, it's right now we're all feeling like we want to be healthy. We're doing everything we can to be healthy. And by not smoking, you are helping that by leaps and bounds. So I think that that's what you need to look forward to is, I can get as many shots as I can, but what else can I do to help myself be healthy? And not smoking would be definitely a big one.
Great. And Brynn, the last word is yours, both on what you might not have mentioned that you said, gosh, I really want folks to know that, and what advice you'd have for them heading into this new year.
So I just want to, just for something I didn't touch on, Breakthrough Youth, I also didn't mention the length of the program, is 12 weeks long, and the financial literacy is just one part of it. We also cover soft skills, which is like job interview and teamwork, just stuff to make you a well-rounded professional, like a good candidate. It's always important. And also drug and alcohol, misuse and abuse prevention, and also affirmative consent-based sexual education to prevent the spread of STIs and unwanted pregnancies in young adults. So overall, a very important, I think anyway, program. And just some, I guess what I would say as advice is to remember that it is a privilege to be able to both pay off debt and have a huge have even a savings account. For a lot of people, it's just not their reality, and that's okay. It does not make you morally less than or in any way less than someone who has the ability to not have debt or credit card debt or to have a large emergency fund. I have been in both places, and it's really, really easy when you have a huge balance you're making a minimum payment on, or that you can't even pay that month, to think, I am a terrible person. I have failed at something. And I want people to know that they have not, that your financial standing does not determine or define who you are or who you will be. They're just numbers on paper. In the end, a poor credit score does not make you a bad person. Everyone deserves respect and love and to be treated equally and fairly. So even if maybe you try to get your finances in order a little bit more and something goes haywire or something goes wrong, because it's life. If 2020 and 2021 have taught us nothing, it is that life is going to happen whether you're ready for it or not. It's okay. And like Meg said, get up, brush it off, try again. So also don't be afraid to ask for support or help. We have so many programs, not only here at ACAP, but just in general in the state of Maine, to help people who are struggling financially. So yeah, that's it. Being impoverished or in a lesser state of like wealth, like a lot of people in Aroostook County, or having debt does not make you bad or less than. Everyone deserves happiness and to be treated well.
And I'd certainly add to the list of things that, advice from the three of you is to certainly, as Meg pointed out, engage. We want folks to engage. And so if you're considering and have struggled with dependence on tobacco, engage with Elaine's program and some really great folks who are going to be working collaboratively to do that. Great teamwork. And certainly if you're in the youth age 16 through 24 category, Brynn's program, be on the lookout for that at the beginning of the year, because that's going to be a program, as she just shared, it's going to cover so many topic areas that youth face today, and really there'll be something for everyone in that program, whether you struggle with financial challenges or just want to get ahead of the game. That's the best part about, I think, the Breakthrough Youth Program, is it doesn't necessarily mean that you feel challenged with this today. It's sort of being proactive about being a young adult who can conquer the world. I guess I'll put it that way, and leave it at that for now. But Brynn, I look forward to us continuing that conversation on your program later in January when we learn more about it and how people can get engaged in it this year. But for now, I'll certainly thank the three of you for joining us as on the final program of 2021 as we look ahead to 2022 for ACAP Today and for our Aroostook County community that we care for and work so closely with. With that, before we leave you, if you are interested in the work that these three lovely individuals have shared with us today, there are ways to engage. Certainly, we encourage volunteerism, but if you have a passion for this work, and have the appropriate credentials to apply for a number of the positions that we currently have open within our agency there on your screen, we would love for you to consider joining our team. Please go to our Facebook or website presence to consider connecting with employment opportunities for ACAP. We have positions currently open across Aroostook County and would certainly welcome applications from all corners of the county. We also have a benefits package there that's decent, and we would certainly encourage you to look into that more and would love to see your application in our inbox as well. And lastly, we end with our snapshot of the week. And Meg was talking about earlier some of our prevention programs that help with health and nutrition. One of those is the SNAP education program, which we're expanding, and we'll be talking about in January as well, the expansion of that program across Aroostook County. But one of our team members, Allison Gooding, who directs our program in the southern part of Aroostook County, was recently in a classroom at ACAP's Holton Early Care and Education Center, where the children and the teachers in the classroom were having a fun time learning more about nutrition, certainly getting themselves set up for a new year in 2022. We thank Allison and we thank our children who were so attentive and enjoying that session, as well as their teachers there in the classroom with them. That's our snapshot of the week. And that's a wrap on ACAP Today, not only for this week, but for this year, for 2021. We'll see you again both next week and next year for another edition of ACAP Today. Have a great week and a happy new year, everyone.
Happy New Year.